New body cam just dropped. And wait till you see what's inside Black Widow's house. Hey SweetPGang, welcome back. Today, we're recapping days 3 to 5 of the Sarah Hartsfield trial, or the Black Widow, is what I like to call her. Alright SweetPGang, buckle up. This was the day of the doctors. Every white coat in that courtroom had something to say, from the ER to the ICU to the lab. They all told the same story. Joseph came in unresponsive. Sugar bottomed out, and no matter what they pumped into him, it wouldn't stick. One doctor said, "We gave him dextrose. His sugar went up for a minute, then tanked again." Another nurse said, "That only happens when insulin's still working inside the body." You know that means somebody loaded him up before he ever hit that hospital. Here she is now. And hear how she looked that night.
After Joseph arrived at the hospital, officers kept the cameras rolling. And the Black Widow, as I like to call her, sitting there in that waiting area, talking to officers, she looks calm, but then, you catch it, tears, or what looks like tears.
Now some people see that and say, she did care. Others, they say that's guilt. Either way, she wasn't breaking down. She was talking, explaining. Managing the scene, while doctors tried to bring Joseph back.
And here's what's funny about this: isn't a leaked clip or rumor. The defense introduced this evidence, and the judge admitted it, and the jury watched the whole thing. Sarah at the hospital, crying 1 minute, composed the next.
The state says that switch, from calm to tears, shows control. The defense says, it's trauma. Plain and simple, you see a woman wiping her face, but the question is, are those real tears? Or just part of the performance? I let you be the judge on that. Now y'all just saw that. The calm, the tears, the whole Black Widow act in that hospital waiting room, but while she was sitting there saying she did all she could, the science was saying something completely different.
Because when that body hit the exam table, the numbers, the blood, the brain tissue, they told a story Sarah couldn't cry her way out of. Enter Dr. Marianne Bainan, the medical examiner. No drama, no emotions, just the data. She told the jury Joseph's brain showed classic signs of insulin toxicity. His blood sugar bottomed out again and again until there was no coming back.
Now, here's the catch. She ruled the cause of death as complications from insulin toxicity, but the manner, undetermined, and that right there had the courtroom leaning in. Because what undetermined means is simple. The science shows what killed him, but not who or how it got in his system. No needle marks, no video. Just the chemistry screaming insulin. The state wanted homicide. The defense wanted accident, but the me stayed in the middle, saying she couldn't label it murder without proof of the injection. And you'll know how that played in court. The defense jumped on it like a lifeline. Even the medical examiner didn't call it a homicide, but the prosecution, they flipped it right back. Undetermined don't mean innocent. It just means she hit it well. Either way, when Dr. Bainan left that stand, the science had spoken. The emotion was over. The facts were locked in. And once those words hit the courtroom, the vibe changed. Everybody wanted to know, where did that insulin come from? This is the body cam from inside the Hartsfield home. Look close. Insulin vials, syringes, supplies laid out in plain sight. Everything you just heard the doctors talk about, sitting right here. The same camera capturing all this, that's Sergeant Daniel Yeatman's, and now that same detective is up there on the stand, explaining what he found, and what he missed. Yeatman told the jury he was the first one inside that house, but he also admitted, the investigation wasn't perfect, some things weren't photographed, some weren't logged, and early on, they didn't even treat Joseph's death like a homicide. By the time they circled back, key evidence was gone. The defense jumped all over that. You can't prove what she did if the cops didn't do their job, and honestly, it hit. Still, the prosecution tried to clean it up fast, mistakes or not. The science doesn't lie, but you could feel that shift in the room. What looked open and shut just got complicated. Alright y'all, now this next part right here, it's where the receipts start talking. The state brought in real Tyron Papson, the man who helped Sarah and Joseph look for homes back in 2021. But his testimony wasn't about square footage or listings. It was about what Sarah told him off the record.
Then the prosecutors dropped the bomb: the text messages. Messages Sarah sent in late December 2022, right before Joseph's death. In one, she wrote about selling the house. Her exact words: "He buried me in debt. Another text. She called his family dysfunctional and said Joseph wasn't who she thought he was. And the kicker, she told someone she was planning an exit strategy that didn't include him. Her words, not mine.
Now the defense tried to spin it, said the texts just showed frustration, not murder. But prosecutors said those weren't just venting. That was motive in plain sight. Because when you put those texts next to the science, the insulin, the chaos that followed her from one man to the next, it starts to look like Sarah wasn't planning a move out. She was planning an escape. Next up, Titus Nornschild, Sarah's ex-husband. And let me tell y'all, his testimony. Straight heat. Titus told the jury about that night. Him and his new wife were inside their trailer when the smell of gasoline hit the air. Minutes later, flames, the whole place ignited, and here's the part that had the courtroom holding its breath. Titus said they looked outside and saw Sarah running away from the property, not walking, not standing by, running. Investigators later found gas cans near the wreckage. Titus said he didn't see her light it, but he knew in his gut she wanted to hurt him. The defense jumped up. Objection, irrelevant. Old news, but the prosecution fired right back. This shows motive, intent, and pattern. And that's exactly what the jury got. A glimpse into the chaos Sarah left behind every time a man tried to leave her. Alright, now here's where it gets even darker. The second fire story. Yup, I said it, another one, and this time, it wasn't an ex. It was family. Sarah's brother, Cody Smith, took the stand. Convos, no theatrics, but the story he told. It made that whole courtroom lean forward. He talked about their grandmother's house, how it mysteriously burned down, and the reason prosecutors say Sarah did it, because she didn't inherit it. Cody told the jury that after the fire, Sarah ended up with a few of the belongings, but the house, the part that really mattered, was gone. He said it never sat right. That there were too many convenient coincidences and Sarah always came out untouched. The defense objected, said there's no proof, no arrest, no conviction. Just stories, but prosecutors said that's the point. Same playbook. Different fire. When Sarah doesn't get what she wants, something burns. Now just when you thought this case couldn't twist any harder, here come the feds. The state brought in FBI agent John Anderson, the one who dug through Sarah's old Minnesota mess. He told jurors about her ex David George and his wife Heather Donahue, and that investigation that started as heartbreak and ended looking like a murder-for-hire plot.
Anderson said messages and interviews pointed to Sarah talking about getting them handled. He said the threat felt real, even though no charges stuck because someone suddenly took back what they said. That someone? David George himself.
Now, fast forward. KPRC2 News put his retraction on screen. I retracted the truth trying to protect her. Anybody who knows me knows I wouldn't do that. Sarah has to loves in her life, herself and money. That's not exactly a Hallmark card, is it? So let me get this straight. She allegedly ropes an ex into targeting another ex's wife. He backpedals, confesses he lied to protect her, then calls her selfish on TV. Girl, what kind of hypnotic spell is that? By the time the FBI finished, the jury wasn't just hearing about Joseph anymore. They were getting a tour of Sarah's greatest hits. Every fire, every fight, every fool who thought they could fix her, and wound up in flames. To fall in just when you thought the pattern couldn't get any darker, we meet David Bragg, the ex-fiancé who never got a second chance. The state called Doris Sword, David's mother, calm, steady. But you could feel every word.
She told jurors David was trying to leave Sarah. He'd packed his things, ready to move on. That's when everything exploded. Sarah said it was self-defense, claimed she fired until the gun was empty. But Doris said her son wasn't attacking anyone, he was walking away. Then came the part that froze the courtroom. Doris said Sarah showed up at the funeral, put her hand on David's body and whispered, "Why'd you make me do that to you?" Now, Sarah never faced charges. The shooting was ruled justified. But prosecutors told the jury this isn't about charges. It's about pattern. Every relationship ends the same way: chaos, control, and somebody getting hurt. By the time Doris stepped down, the jurors weren't just hearing a story anymore, they were watching the same movie play out with a new ending. And that's how day 5 closed, with a mother's grief, an empty gun, and a woman who somehow keeps surviving every fire she starts. Alright, SweetPGang, let's run this back because this week was heavy, and the pattern is clear. So far, the prosecution has called 22 witnesses, from doctors and detectives to exes, family, and even the FBI. And reports say they're expected to close their case early next week, maybe by Tuesday or Wednesday. Now at first, I couldn't tell were they trying this case on the facts, or just dragging her through every bad thing she's ever done.
But when you sit back and look at it, 5 husbands, 2 of them unalived in the last 5 years, one ex testifies about a fire, her own brother testifies about another fire. The FBI says there was a murder-for-hire plot, and another man, her fiancé, David Bragg, ends up dead after what she called self-defense. And you know what? I wouldn't be mad if the jury could convict her just off the bad coincidences alone, because when it happens this many times, how much of it can really still be called coincidence? So yeah, this week we've seen flames, funerals, feds, and a woman who somehow keeps walking away while the people around her don't. The prosecution says this isn't just a pattern, it's a lifestyle. The defense says it's all bad luck and bad timing, but next week, they'll finally get their turn to tell that story. And y'all already know. We'll be right here breaking it down, piece by piece, because this case, it's starting to feel less like a trial, and more like a history of destruction.
It's your girl Sweet P here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be the judge.